Well, how do there, chums? Is No Man's Sky worth playing in 2024? Well, since its conception in 2016, it's gone through quite a lot of updates. A lot of those updates have been free and have brought a lot of fun things to do into the actual verse. Like the addition of exocraft, planetary-driven vehicles, and making bases. And bases seems to be a massive staple for what people like to do inside of the No Man's Sky verse, putting down roots on planets they love. Bringing in multiplayer and crossplay across multiple platforms, including Nintendo's Switch and VR platforms. No Man's Sky is pretty much available on every single device. I have to say one of the strongest selling points of No Man's Sky is in fact the community. Does the multiplayer work well though? That's another thing. There are quite a lot of bugs. You can get into a group of 4. By the time you've run a Quicksilver mission, there's probably one of you that's fallen out of group, or the milestones have been lagging behind and have been running the mission effectively on their own. In 2023, a new narrative had been started, a 4-part ARG arc. Parts 1, 2 and 3 came in 2023. We're still awaiting Part 4 of this arc to occur in 2024. Now what this is dives into the idea behind the Void Mother, on the realm of glass and the void, the dimension that the Sentinels come from, and a whole new race has been brought into the game in 2023 called the Autophage. That got delivered in through 3 sections: Interceptor, the Singularity, and also the Echoes update. In 2024 we've had an update called Omega, which was just an extension of Expedition, which brought in a little bit more of this story arc and lore. It's quite a mystery that the actual player base is trying to unravel and link all the lore ties together. It's an interesting time, is 2024. Now, despite all of these updates, these new additions and things to do, and fun things to do at that inside of No Man's Sky, still haven't really addressed the core engine issues, which is the exploration. Now, after you've been to perhaps 50-odd planets and visited most of the biomes, you're going to see repeats and patterns within inside of No Man's Sky. The whole idea and whole promise that every atom would be procedural isn't one that's actually been kept or maintained inside of this game idea, which was its major draw for me. That's why I pre-ordered the title, and yet the only updates that we've seen that have touched on this procedural generation when it comes to variety and diversity of planets is the Origins update and also perhaps the Next update. However, some will argue that Next actually dialed down some of what we saw when it came to terrain from the old vanilla release. Updates for No Man's Sky come thick and fast. We're talking every 6 to 8 weeks we see some sort of update, be that quite large in content, or sometimes maybe an expedition, but it brings something else to do, something to talk about, and keeps people and players coming back and interested. So I'd say that Hello Games does a very good job of feeding the community things that may not fulfill the needs of the actual engine and promise, but things that are probably seen as being fluffy dice and additional extras to keep us waiting for the game to be delivered into and sort of achieve its full potential. New players, I'd imagine, will argue that this game is complete to the point that it doesn't need to reach its potential. It's already there. And yes, if you are a new player picking this up and you haven't seen all the pre-released footage and pre-release sort of promise of infinite variety, including its own periodic table and all sorts of other manners of promises that still haven't made it into fruition, you're probably thinking, well, you're complaining about things from yesteryear. You're talking about things that were 7 years ago. This whole super formula idea, stop beating that drum, you may say. But yes, a lot of us that actually pre-ordered the game based on what we saw from the E3 trailers are still holding out for some of that wondrous magic to appear in game, because every single update we see something appear, a little mini nod towards we're trying to get there. It almost feels very odd when you look at that old trailer from all that time ago. It clearly says gameplay trailer, but it clearly was a scripted sort of setup, and some of us still feel a little bit sort of, let down that hasn't come to full fruition as yet. I say as yet because I still hold out for it. In the pit of my stomach, though, I think if it was going to come into the actual game, it would have appeared by now. But I am hoping that perhaps if we do get to venture into the realm of glass or into the void, perhaps we might see previous builds. Perhaps some of this variety and procedural greatness can be delivered upon. If perhaps there's some restrictions maybe around base building and other complexities such as settlements removed from the realm of glass or the void. So the question at the beginning of this video: is No Man's Sky worth playing in 2024? With it constantly being updated, with refreshing things to do, if you've never jumped into No Man's Sky, there is waves of things to do in early game, and mid game is going to keep you as happy as Larry. End game and end game loop, perhaps not as much. The depth there is a little shallow, and we are waiting from update to update to get our teeth into something new. It's very difficult once you've got everything upgraded to find a challenge within inside of No Man's Sky at end game. But there is no play to win mechanics, or pay to win mechanics I should say. It's a very relaxing sort of jaunt of a game. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, I think you should be giving No Man's Sky a look. It's well worth a look. Heck yes it is. And I thoroughly enjoy the game. I really do. So there you go, that's my honest opinion. No Man's Sky is definitely worth picking up in 2024. Just keep your eye out for sort of sales for No Man's Sky. It goes on sale every time that there appears to be an update, and it goes on sale every 6 to 8 weeks. Like I mentioned, updates are very regular. Anyway, I hope to see you in the verse, traveller. Goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again.
Our journey continues.